Hello, I'm Scott Bulky here with Micah White ahead of his Fury 103 fight against Alex Eliam. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, brother. Thanks again for having me on.
And how has the training been for this upcoming fight?
It's been really good, man. I've made some adjustments to my fight camp and my normal routine. I switched it up a little bit. Started with the new strength and conditioning coach, Coach Logan at Loganitis, and they've helped me tremendously just with my strength and my speed and my cardio and things like that. But yeah, no injuries or anything. Everything's been smooth.
Exactly. And in your last fight, it did just seem like everything was smooth sailing. From start to finish, you were in control. You can just tell it was going how you wanted it to go. Did it feel like that for you when you were in that cage?
Yeah, it I, it probably looked a lot easier, more controlled than it felt because I had the flu during that last fight. So it sucked on my body, and it took a lot to make it look that way. But it was I do feel like it was very dominant from start to finish. I was never really in any positions where I felt like I was heavily losing the fight or losing positions and things like that. And if there were any, it was reversed or switched right away. So to be able to not only get a finish, but a dominant fight and then a finish at towards the end of the fight. There's not really much more I can ask for.
And is that back-to-back fight weeks now that you've been catching the flu? Because I think I remember
Yes,
last time
yes,
you said that you ahead of your last fight you got the flu as well.
yeah. So hopefully, third time's a charm in a row, and we can go into this. I don't ever expect to be fully healthy, no nothing, 100%, but at least not the flu. Hopefully, So we'll hopefully that'll be checked off and correct some of the stuff leading up to try to prevent all that.
And obviously it must have been nice to be able to get that stoppage. I know the UFC press, they were there, they were watching you.
Hmm.
Did you were able to speak
Yeah.
to them afterwards or
Yeah, I mean, I was able to talk with Mick Maynard, who's the matchmaker
yeah,
for my division, and he told me good job and kind of just keep doing what I'm doing. I know the UFC, they really like finishes, so the fact that I still have a 100% finish rate
yeah,
as a professional is awesome, and I plan to keep that with this fight, and keeping it exciting, and then whenever that opportunity comes for a finish, taking it and running with it.
exactly. And you've got the perfect opportunity here to get another stoppage. Do you see that he's just gonna fall into that rear naked choke again? Or what do you feel is gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of depends, man. I expect a good fight from Alex. I think he trains hard, and I think he's really taking it seriously, which is good. It's what I want. I don't want a half version of somebody or someone who's semi taking it serious, someone not.
Yeah,
Like I want the best version because I want after us to both know like I beat the best version. There's no excuses and things like that. Um, so I expect a good fight of him. I would like to maybe switch it up and get a finish on the feet this time. But that or reliable rear naked choke, it's always in the back pocket. So I'll never turn it down if it presents itself. I'll just say that.
exactly. And you have just shown that you are a great wrestler. Do you feel
Yeah.
like you are just wanting to show your hands in this fight and try and leave that wrestling in that like somewhat hidden aspect of your game?
Hmm. Yeah, man. I think my game, it's pretty clear, right? I mean, I've
Yeah,
had maybe 11, 12 fights now through amateur and pro, and people have access to the fights, so it's not a trick. Obviously, I
yeah,
like to wrestle and I like to grapple and things, but I do have the hands. The people who train with me, they experience it and they know it too, and my coaches. So I feel like I'm better than Alex in every position of the game. I feel like if it was just like a striking, kickboxing, or boxing match, I feel like I would win. I feel like if it was just a jiu-jitsu match, I feel like I'd win. If it was just a wrestling match, I feel like I would win. So I think I just want to kind of take where the fight goes. If I'm having success on the feet, no really reason to take it down. If things aren't really going my way, obviously we can switch things up. I just feel like I want to see where the fight takes me and just be not too much of a specific game plan from A to B, just kind of flow. I've been doing this for a long time and just kind of trust in not only my experience, but my training and my build up and kind of like my fight IQ and just kind of adapt wherever the fight goes and just try to be a better fighter all the way around.
And this is your fourth fight for Fury FC. Have you been able to renew
Mm-hmm.
your contract yet, or is that after this fight?
Yeah, no, I did. So I re-signed. So this is the last fight on my last contract, but I
Yeah.
had already signed for the new one. So we're locked in for another four after this. So I love Fury. I love the regional scene feel that I get from them, but it's a very big regional scene. You know, they fly in people from all around the United States. I mean, Alex, he's from South Carolina, so being able to get that experience leading up to the big show being the UFC, it's kind of hard to beat. And yeah, I'm excited to be with him as long as everything works out on the business side and everything makes sense with the fights. Then I plan to be with them until I get to the UFC.
And I feel like, just for me personally, Fury really put themselves on the map last year. They did have a
Yeah,
lot of fighters go into not only the Contender Series, but the UFC directly. Do you feel
yeah.
like 2025 is going to be the year they cement that number one position for fighters moving into into the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely possible, man. I think they're big. I mean, I've been going to Fury shows. They used to be called like Garcia Promotions and all these different things, and
Yeah,
but I've been going to those shows since I was a kid, man. So they've been around. But I think what really turned that next level is when they got that UFC Fight Pass deal a few years back, and that's really been able to put them on the map, not only nationwide but globally. And they've definitely earned their respect as a top regional promotion. So I think if they keep doing what they're doing in the right way, I think they're gonna have another stacked roster of guys going into this next season of Contender Series coming up. Because when you think of Contender Series starting in August, I mean, you fight one or two more times, then you're kind of waiting for that. You know, you can't fight three or four times from now until August. You know, so there's some guys that are one or two fights away from like, all right, now you're kind of waiting for Contender Series. So I think they'll have another stacked roster this year. I'm thinking if everything goes the way it planned, God willing, that could be me, you know, like next year, something like that. Just my head down, grinding, stacking up these wins, stacking up the finishes. And I think later on next year, we can be in a position to, you know, be one or two fights away from a Contender Series fight.
exactly. And when you look at the divisions, they are all stacked, especially that lightweight division that we
Hmm.
have for this fight. It just seems like each of you guys are just one or two fights away from that Contender
Yeah.
Series. You have got
Yes.
Lester Batters, who is 5-0, trying to go 6-0. Mansoor, the
Yep.
champion. Danny Dixon, Nico.
Yeah.
It just it just shows the strength you guys have, and that you're not just going to get the easy fights. They are going to fly in, even if they have to fly in someone, they will give you a matchup that is going to test you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially the flyweight division, man. I don't think there's another
Yeah,
division more stacked than the flyweight. I mean, you got just at the top, you have my teammate Alden Correa, who has the belt.
yeah,
Harrison Moran, who is a freaking stud champ, and I think they're going to rematch. You know what I mean? I think that's another banger fight. Both
is
great,
that
talented
confirmed?
guys. I don't know. I think they're working on it, or it's a possibility always. You know, when you have two great
Yeah,
guys like that, a rematch is always there. You got Eddie Frey, Nick Piccinini, Angelo Trujillo, Tony Figueiredo, Sebastian Rivera. I mean, there's all these freaking stud guys that, like you said, can all just be a couple fights away from the UFC, or could all hang in the UFC. You know, so I feel like without one or the other, any of them could have gotten their shot in the UFC. But the fact that they ran into each other, and then it's like, all right, now I got to win another one or two fights. You know what I mean? So it's it definitely is one of those things. That's why I like Fury, because it's like a lot of people can pad their record and just kind of get to the UFC, but then they usually go 0-2 and they're right back out because they
yeah.
just didn't really fight anybody worth the experience or test of them. But you can't duck and dodge that much when you have that stacked of a roster. So once you make to the big show, like you're ready and you can hang. I mean, you see that with Josh Van. Not only did he make to the UFC at a crazy run in Fury, but now he's winning fights. You know what I mean? People were doubtful at first, like, man, it's too soon. He's too young. Yada yada yada. He got lucky. He just caught these plays. Whatever they might want to say. But look at him. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
doing his thing. So I think there's a lot of people that can have that similar route once they make it.
And I think like what you were saying with your roster, I think Antonio is fighting Herrera coming up in the middle
Mm,
of the thing. So that's just gonna be a banger of a fight. How would
exactly.
How would you like to fight like the winner of that? I know you against Antonio would be a great fight, a striker versus that wrestler type fight,
Hmm.
and it would show the world how your hands are.
Yeah, man. I mean, you never know how these divisions are gonna go, right?
Yeah,
And I know some of these guys personally, like Tonio, he's a freaking awesome dude, very
yeah.
down to earth guy. He's a wrestler too. Don't let him fool you. He can
No,
freaking.
no,
I know he's
yeah.
knocking all these guys out, but he can
He's got
wrestle
it in the back
too.
pocket.
Um, yeah, but like we have some plans to try to train together in the future. Same with like Sebastian Rivera. Like we have some stud guys out of Houston that we all want to make it to the big show, and there might be certain situations down the road where it's unavoidable for a title shot or something. But as an out man, like I would love to use these great guys to help all better each other, especially out of Houston. We have such a great talent pool in Houston, and it's like for the longest time, it's always been Houston versus Houston. And I'm
Yeah,
trying to kind of create this thing where, man, we can all make it to the big show because everyone's so worried about fighting people 45 minutes away, an hour away, when you're going to get to the UFC and you're fighting these Russians, Brazilians, freaking all these people from around the world. Um, so I think it's kind of, we can use each other more as assets rather than liabilities and all kind of make it in our own ways and represent Houston well. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's what I think Khabib's the whole gym like trained together, and now you see Khabib was the lightweight champion, Islam was the lightweight champion, Umar fought for that bantam title. You have
Hmm.
Usman fighting for I think he's the PFL champion. I know he
Hmm.
was Bellator. I don't
Yeah.
think they switched over, but they've got all
Yeah.
these champions coming out. That's what kind of could happen with you guys. You all
Yeah.
build up, you learn from each other, and your success kind of flow across the
Yeah.
division.
Yeah, we all win. Everyone wins. Because I mean, that's what you're kind of seeing now with like Paris, for example.
Yeah,
He dominated. He was pretty much undefeated. Got to the title fight, lost to Josh Van, who's in the UFC, killing it. Same thing. Comes back, beats everyone up, gets the belt again, loses to Alden Correa, who can definitely be in the UFC.
yeah,
Right. So it's like guys where if it wasn't for Josh Van, Alden Paris would have already been in the UFC by now, multiple
yeah,
times. You know what I mean? And he's a stud, and I think he definitely belongs there, and I definitely think he'll get a shot there. But some of these guys are just that little bit ahead where they get their shot first. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how it is. But I do see a world in if the cards are played right, we all can represent Houston and Fury on the big stage. You know what I mean? Instead of all holding each other back and fighting each other for little money on the regional scene. Like if we're gonna fight guys, amongst each other, why not do it on the biggest stage for thousands and thousands of dollars rather than in front of our own families and friends for chump change? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And I did really feel for Paris for losing that title fight because it did seem like he was just that one fight away from that UFC call up once again, and it just failed. So you do have to
Yeah.
feel a wee bit sorry for him. He's just getting that so close on the brink.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, how this game works. Like, my heart goes out to him too. But then, being a teammate of Alden Correa, it's like
Oh
you
yeah,
see his
he's a killer.
journey. Yeah, but then it's like you see his journey too. It wasn't all through Fury, so it's not as recognizable. But it's like one of those kind of if you know stories.
Yeah,
And man, he is a dog, and he trains harder than anybody, and he is so good, so good. Like he gives me a lot of confidence going with him beating me up. So then when I fight these guys, I'm like, bro, Alden would destroy this guy. So why can't I? Kind of thing. But he's one of those guys where he's grinded his way, had some tough losses, had some little streaks, and just grinded his way back. And then he gets the shot. It's
yeah.
crazy how this game works. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Alden. He put on that spectacular
Oh yeah,
performance and got that victory, fully deserved. And I know the rematch, if it does happen, will just be a fantastic must watch once again.
great fight. Oh yeah,
That
great fight.
that probably should even headline the Fury card. Shouldn't be that co-main.
Yeah.
That is that main event.
I agree 100%. Those are two. I mean, it sounds obvious because it's for a title fight, but they are two genuinely of the best prospects in the flyweight division. Like those are the next guys in line
Yeah.
for their UFC shot.
And what do you feel like is next for your division in terms of the UFC? You also have got Panchula as the champion. Do you feel like Kate got that knockout on last weekend? Do you feel like he's next, or do you feel like that eye poke situation is going to keep him out and it's going to be Kai France? What's next in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of different routes they can take. You got Cop, you have Kai France, but then you also have this banger of Brandon Moreno versus Steve
Yeah,
Erceg coming up. So it's like there's
in 3 weeks, I think.
any one of those guys you can give a title shot and can't complain. You can't be like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. They all deserve it. So sometimes it goes off of, certain people are injured, some people
Yeah.
have fought more recently, so it could just be a complete luck thing of who gets that next shot. I mean, we'll have to see, you know.
And do you feel like that's what makes the love of our game is that it is unpredictable. It does have got you can slight predictability and sort of it is going to be that one of those top contenders, but they could just throw a curveball and put it to someone that's
Yeah,
probably not even in that mix. What do you make
yeah.
of them going down sometimes to like number 10? I know Khalil Roundtree was number 10 when he fought Alex Pereira.
Yeah, I think those are the situations, where maybe those top one, two, three guys are hurt or whatever. Maybe numbers 4 and 5 are scheduled, 6, 7. So then I mean, when Steve Erceg got his title shot, he was like, what, like number 8 or 10 or
Yeah,
whatever, something like that. But then look at the fight he put on. I mean, he's right there at the highest level. I
yeah.
mean, he put on a great fight against Pantoja. So it just shows you the depth of the roster. And you think about it, those first, second, third ranked guys in the world, they were once number 15, number 10, number 8. So it's just a matter of like, okay, is this guy really the number one contender in the world? He just hasn't knocked off these guys yet. Or is he genuinely like about number 8, 9, 10, and he just kind of got the lucky call of the draw? But that's where those underdog stories come. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
not supposed to win, but that's what makes a fight a fight. Like if everyone knew for a fact Pantoja was going to absolutely dominate him, no one would have watched. But it's like, hey, he's probably going to dominate him, but what if he catches him? And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of our sport is on any given day, anyone can win. You know what I mean? And I love that about the sport.
Well, thank you for coming on once again. Make sure you check out Micah White's fight. He's got a fight of the night written all over it. He's gonna get that knockout. We can just tell you that just now. And
Let's go.
is there anything you're wanting to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
No, man, thank you so much for having me. Just at Micah Dynamite on Instagram. If anyone's looking for last minute tickets or sponsorship, please hit me up. And yeah, I'm excited to get another finish and hope to talk to you again after.
Well, great, great, and I can't wait to see you get that victory.
My man, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.